what's going on. We're just supposed to kind of go in awkwardly and have a conversation going. It really doesn't matter what we were talking about or everything. And I'm just supposed to realize we're live. Patron Hangout time, guys. This is that time we take every month to hang out with our patrons who open their wallets to us and help support the channel, keep our editing software awesome, and just generally allow me to send a little bit of support to the way of the guys who are now covering my metal lab, which I'm going to be doing this month's pay. Something I kind of have to do because I'm not on that show. Excuse me. I'm just like burping up a storm here.
It's all good.
I'm drinking an energy drink again and whatnot. But we also have a new feature on the channel in general. Anytime we're running a live show now, something called the Super Chat is available. What is the Super Chat? Well, if you're watching the show right now live, you can use that, give us a couple bucks or a buck. I mean, we're not looking for much. I mean, you're becoming a patron for the night, basically, is now the goal of the Super Chat. So if you give us $1 in the Super Chat, we will answer your questions like you are a patron from the chat. And we're more than happy to address you because you've opened your wallets to us, and we're going to address you. Of course, we also have to stall for time this week again because I don't know if you guys watched last month's episode, but we also had our patrons kind of not available until about 10:30. One of them shows up at 10:30, but we do like to start the show at 9:30. And if our patrons aren't here, we have, it gives us an hour to kind of ramble on about how we've been doing in general, what our ideas are in the game and whatnot, and what's been going on of late. And Emery, you want to add anything before we start our ramble portion of the show?
I think I'm just gonna preamble the show tonight. And that before coming here was our twin son's birthday party. So we're at least me, I'm a little loopy today. My whole day was scrambling around making sure I was prepared for this party and then having the party.
I took the day off. That's why I'm actually here at a reasonable time as well.
And then having the kids come home and open all their presents and then dealing with that. So yes, I'm a bit of a hot mess today. And you guys are just going to have to deal with that.
You see, she says she's a hot mess now. I've been there the whole day. It's been like this all day.
It has. It really, really has. Shopping with me today was just ridiculous.
It was comedy. It was comedy at its pure finest. I absolutely adored everything about it. And I want nothing to change. I want to shop like that every week. Just watching. And I want grocery stores to change the littlest things every week. Because she goes to the same grocery stores week in, week out, and a couple things got slightly shifted on a couple shelves. She crumbled. She just couldn't handle it.
Well, I've been going to these same stores for like the last 5 years, every other week, and I know exactly where everything I need that I regularly pick up is. And then they started moving things around. I'm like, I don't know where anything is anymore. I don't like this. Stop changing.
I took my first day off in a while just to help Amber along with the birthday party setup. It was wonderful to watch. It was a delightful little mess. Actually, I've had an interesting little month. I've started a new hobby project of mine, so I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. A lot of the tech stuff for it has been smooth sailing so far, to say the least. I do have to improve. I think there's optimization to be made at best, but the idea is I'm making an arcade cabinet from scratch, so that's been kind of fun. I get to put together the joystick, wire it all up. Though I didn't use a soldering-based joystick, as my boss suggested. That could be the upgrade when I decide to change the controllers to something new. But it's been an interesting little project, to say the least. We're talking about the non-HeroClix related stuff before we get into the HeroClix stuff. Mostly to fill time. Give and to actually have
something to talk about, because last time we had to do this, it was painful. I'm sorry you guys had to.
There was a lot of stumbling on our own feet the last time we did this, so you might not just hear about HeroClix today as we wait for our patrons to join us, or somebody to jump in on the super chat and become a patron for the night. which is available as an option, guys. So feel free. If you super chat us, we will happily answer you like you are a patron. Or if you're on the patron Discord watching this hot car wreck, please, by all means, submit a question or something like that. Though I do feel like a lot of the patrons are kind of looking at this like, we've been in here so much. I don't know what else we have to ask.
We've got nothing left.
We're tired of you guys. We're so sick of you.
If a tree falls in the woods.
Metal Lab seems to be going off without a hitch without me. I haven't been watching it myself. I do have to watch just to...
The one consistent comment has been that there's been issues with Jay's mic.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
You didn't have to say that out loud. Jay, get a better mic, you jerk. Sorry, Jay. Amber's really, really.
Public comments.
I know it's in the comments, but you didn't have to. You didn't have to fucking. Excuse my language. You didn't have to, put them on ice on that one there, eh?
I absolutely.
Did you monetize this video by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, because I just demonetized it.
No, it just means we go from green to yellow.
Yeah. So we don't get the high end sponsors. Coca-Cola has a problem with the F-bomb, but the other YouTube channels that advertise on YouTube, weirdly enough, don't. All right, should we start talking about Hero Clix?
I suppose
do we still have more stuff to talk about throughout our week?
What else have we done this week?
I did a little bit of trading. X-Men's come out since our last Patron Hangout.
That's true.
That has been kind of exciting.
I just recently put out a casual corner where I talk about 2 different tournaments where I played with the new set. That's fun.
You know what you should have done? You should have got just a quick little video at some point of like the end of one of my games. Is like, Jay, where's your team?
How much of this is your team? How much of this started?
These figures are what started on the board, and because I've definitely been messing with my post-game swarm mentality of things. Post-start a game swarm. I got out of hand the last tournament I went to. It was 400 points, and I took a Hela, I took Tribbles, I took Black Panther, and I took Daredevil out for a spin along with Belphegor. I actually managed to hit. I've managed to hit peak confusion. Like, I have reached my limit of being able to handle a game. Like, I cannot go beyond this. I have hit peak J. That's for sure. Actually, the last episode of Metafix we put out was the what to blame.
Yes.
I got an episode coming up that actually kind of discusses what has happened with this team and how it's gotten out of hand.
There is actually one right now available to our patrons at $5 or more that went out yesterday about how to plan financially for your teams.
Oh, man. You know what? One of the worst things to talk about in the game of HeroClix is HeroClix finance. It's like so... Okay, so it exists in the world of collectible gaming. The idea of finance, financially reimbursing, et cetera, buying things, sitting on them for collected value, that just doesn't happen here. It doesn't exist. And that's mostly because old card or old game pieces aren't generally supported. So unless a piece is actually well sought after, low in availability, it's really going to hold a next to none value. And so there's channels that exist on YouTube. There are articles that are written about Magic the Gathering finance in general. Rudy, who does Alpha Investments, and there's a couple other pages that write out some fantastic articles. Explain how Magic the Gathering has a growth rate financial level that if you play the finance of it correctly, invest correctly, you can actually see a lot of return on investment. A good example is like the Black Lotus. The Black Lotus, if you bought early, like a couple packs of Alpha Beta when they first came out, you happen to still have your Black Lotus. At the time, the baseball hockey card boom existed, so you could very well have kept it in very good condition. You'd be rich in comparison to the $3 at the time pack that you would have bought. That doesn't exist for HeroClix. HeroClix is like a hot fast food market of collectability. Hot and ready, get it off the market and get it going. And then it's, success rate really defines how things get financed, right? So I'm doing the episode everybody wants me to do on our Patron Hangout. So maybe more people watch the Patron Hangout. Anyway, it's a hot, fast market. So what happens is X-Men's out right now, and the chases are hot. And they're the hottest they're going to be because there's a demand both in-game for some of them, but also as character-wise. The Age of Apocalypse is a fairly popular 90s story. I don't know why.
It's that 90s nostalgia, man.
Whatever. People like it. People will ask me in the future, why did you like Planet Hulk? I'll tell you why I like Planet Hulk. I am Spartacus. That's why. So, long and the short of it, anyway, is that it comes out quick, and maintained value doesn't necessarily exist in most cases. Here's the thing. You can tell me Throg from the Hammer of Thor set is still holding at $75. Cool. What else from Hammer of Thor is? Right? And that's one of those things. It's like there's not enough of a market in HeroClix to kind of justify. And also, Throg when he first came out was $150. Right? So he's like 75 now. That's a really hot drop in the market. And part of it is, and I think I've said this about 1,000 times, the Golden Age is not supported. WizKids doesn't put work into making it a viable competitive format. It doesn't put any work into making sure rulings are regularly supported for it. They do some blanket rulings here and there that might help some Golden Age judges, but if you go back and back to the early days of some of the cards just, there's no working around it. There's no way the card is going to work, or there's no, sometimes soaring is referenced in things, and it's like, we don't do that anymore. Nobody soars anymore.
Or like the 5 different times energy explosion has changed.
Yeah, so somebody's energy explosion might be worded in a way it works with the old version, and then you look at it, it's like, but it's just, but how did it's so when people ask me, hey, how about we talk about HeroClix finance? Okay, cool. Buy some packs, have some fun with them. Don't try to make money off of this. Some stores can, but when stores do it, they open X number of boxes, expect a certain amount of value out of it, and that expected value doesn't exist because for one, 60 figures come in a set, right? Roughly, there's like maybe 60 to 70. I'm lowballing it in some cases, right? 60 to 70, maybe 80, highballing it, right? When you talk about Magic the Gathering, you're like 140, 150, and you get like 15, and that's like a small set. And then you get like 15 cards in a pack. We have 5. So percentage-wise, we don't get it. But then, the numbers start to crunch down and down and down to the point where, like those of us, like myself and Amber, we buy a case, right? A case of HeroClix has 2 bricks, 20 packs. Those 20 packs get us most of a collection. Go to Magic the Gathering or another card game where you're getting hundreds of cards in a single box, and you might not get a collection out of a box. You have to buy multiple boxes, so on and so forth. Anyway, so the games spread out differently, and that's the thing is there's so frequently I get told, well, Magic the Gathering and HeroClix aren't the same thing. When I make comparisons on things you can compare, right? You can't compare how we collect these games because HeroClix you can collect in like a case and be mostly done. Magic the Gathering is going to take you a couple boxes, sometimes a full case, and you might have a full collection of a set. Thank God Michael's come in. I'm almost done my little ramble about HeroClix finance and how it doesn't exist. I apologize.
So can you hear me? The headset's working
pretty low, but I think we can mess with that a little for you.
Yeah. Alrighty. All right. Hopefully, I'm technically still on the clock, so.
All right. Cool.
No, as in, don't tell my boss.
All right.
I'm
just gonna finish my point before you get started. Mm-hmm. I was just in the middle of a thing, and I'm gonna finish up here, and then we'll get you started. Sorry. All right. So, anyway, long and short of it is when I compare Magic and HeroClix, I compare uncomparable values and certain things we can't compare. The way we build our game, can't compare. But the way we support ages does compare. Magic the Gathering supports a legacy, supports the modern, supports the vintage, supports old stuff being played. Heck, it, to a certain degree, supports fringe stuff, such as Commander, such as Pauper. Look them up. And, you know, in the meantime, we're off on the side here in HeroClix wondering, they only let us play Modern, really. They only pay attention to Modern. They don't care about Golden. Golden is really on the stores. So it's on the stores. So much of HeroClix is on the store and on the player lately. And that's where kind of things get really wacky. So anyway, I'm done my financial notes. Don't get into HeroClix finance. It doesn't exist. Do not invest. If you're looking to sell, just do it to recoup your box at best if you can get a hot chase. But honestly, it doesn't exist. And I mean, even in the long term, as far as a competitive play, there's next to no money in it. There's one tournament that pays out. And if you think you can make $2,500 a year and make a living, I got bad news for you, man. You don't have that $2,500 a year. You just spent it on HeroClix so that you can get to the next year. All right, I'm done, Amber. Let's let Michael talk now.
All right.
He paid us. Yeah, he deserves it.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much. Hopefully, you can still hear me. Like I get the things right there. So, yeah, I wanted to start the show off talking about well, we have a WKO Winter Open coming up here either at the end of the month or beginning of April, and I want to know, should I be preparing for that, as to, like, it's probably going to be sealed and everything like that. Is there like a strategy I should be working on now toward, like, okay, well, what the store has available and stuff like that? So what would I need to think about going into it this far out?
All right. As far as prepping for a WKO that is sealed, that is the hardest thing to do. You have two options. You spend a lot of money and open some packs. And if you're buying packs on a regular basis, you have to kind of change the way you look at how those packs work. So if I buy 2 packs at a store of HeroClix, say, and those 2 packs might just be the product I'm purchasing this week. If I open those 2 packs, I'm no longer looking at them as these are the parts of my collection. I'm going to look at them and go, you know what? How would I build a SEAL team out of these 2 packs? And then I would do the same thing out of the next 2 packs that I buy, and so on and so forth. Right? To prepare for a WKO, you start using your purchased product as kind of a baseline. As well, if you know ahead of time that a WKO is ahead in the future or something like that, like, for instance, what we were doing with Harley Quinn. When we first opened our case of Harley Quinn, we opened each 2 packs and said, how would I build a SEAL team out of these from the get-go? And that is, it's something I've kind of been learning from watching some other Magic things. Oh, Jesus, this is gonna be like the 8th time. I'm gonna talk about Magic Gathering a lot because I've been messing with it a lot lately. And the reason for that is this: when you watch a certain type of Magic podcast, they'll open up a pack. Loading Ready Run is great for this. They do the Crack a Pack, where if their fans give them just packs of Magic the Gathering, they open them. But when they open them, they talk about all the cards in the pack, but they also say what they would draft first in each pack. And that's one of those things, like, you look at each of the cards and each of the figures in the case of HeroClix, and using the same methodologies, like, I open my pack and say, which of these figures would I use in sealed? And I think that's one of the best ways to get prepped for competitive sealed play. Instead of looking at each individual pack, like, this is getting added to my collection, you look at each individual pack and say, how would I play this in sealed? I've pulled bad packs, what I'd call bad packs, as collection packs. Like, oh, darn, I was looking for a super rare, only got a rare in the pack. And I turn around and go, but that is a good sealed pack. And that is a mentality you have to kind of get as far as prepping yourself mentally for the WKO. The other thing you can do as far as prepping for a WKO is go to HC Realms, open up the set that you're expecting. Honestly, when it comes to WKO level, you should expect the most recent set. So your WKO at the end of the month should without a shadow of a doubt be X-Men, and it shouldn't be anything else. It should only be X-Men because everybody has to be playing on a competitive level the same packs. And at WKO level, that's a high level. So if you're going to the end of the month, you're going to be playing in WKO, it should be X-Men. You go through X-Men, and you spend like the days that you're looking at it for your sealed play, ignoring the existence of rares and super rares and chases. Commons and uncommons are the only figures that exist in your brain because rares, super rares, and chases all of a sudden are just candy when you start ignoring them. All right? You look at them and go, oh, that's a really cool ability because the new design of the game, commons and uncommons are boring. They are boring. And that's the beauty of it is you look at the rares later on and you go, and I can use that with this, and this. Because you're guaranteed commons and uncommons. You're not guaranteed a rare because you might get a super rare in your pack. But you're not guaranteed a super rare, you might get a rare in your pack. You're not guaranteed a super rare or rare, you might get a chase in your pack. Right? Now, I would focus more if once you got the commons and uncommons down, I wouldn't get past the rares because you don't want to overextend your expectations of the rare. But do look at the rares and say, okay, it would be neat to get this, it would be neat to get this, but don't make a wish list. Look at each rare and how you would use them if you pull them. Same with super rares, same with chases. Because I can't stress it enough. Commons and uncommons, you're guaranteed to get. Rares, super rares, chases, you're not as guaranteed to get, so you can't count on them. So look at it this way as commons and uncommons. I have a very high chance of getting these figures. Gosh. And then everything higher is just something you can make a functional use of. I'm done. Go ahead, Amber. Anything you wanted to add that I might be wrong?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is just a funny note because when we did do this with our Harley Quinn, the first booster I had pulled was the Shazam chase.
I remember that.
And a prime in my other booster. And I'm like, well, this is horrible. It doesn't prepare me for WK sealed at all. I shouldn't expect a prime and a chase. And then I ended up pulling like almost the exact same boosters at our WKO. So lo and behold, it did end up preparing me for. The other thing, there's two other notes. One, if you're not regularly purchasing boosters, like Jason said, going to HC Realms, but go back and watch like Scott Porter's unboxings or our unboxings or any unboxing where they show you booster by booster and do the same practice where it's like, okay, especially with Scott Porter, because he does it 2 boosters at a time, take one video, look at the figures that he pulled and build a team from them. Because a lot of the sealed prep is building the team and knowing what the figures do rather than just actually playing out. You don't really have to play test as much as you would with constructed. Because constructed, there's so many other scenarios you have to take into consideration where so much of sealed comes from opening the booster and building the team. The other thing on that is don't get trapped with theme teams in this set. This set is surprisingly hard to make a theme team out of boosters, even though it's an X-Men set. And like everyone has an X-Men type keyword, you're probably not going to make a theme team out of it. So like, don't have that as your first thought of like, oh, look at all these X-Men figures. Let's make a theme team. That's not going to happen.
But if you can make a good theme team, make the good theme team.
Definitely. Like if it can work with you, but don't have that as your forefront as open boosters. Okay, let's make a theme team.
As an example, if you can get like a good solid attacking X-Man, a good solid backup attacker X-Men, like 2 decent attackers, and then you can wrap up your other X-Men with like a Moira McTaggart. She's a fantastic prob token sucker. She's got sorry, Moira, I didn't mean to talk to you like that, eh? But she's got willpower, which is an important ability. She's 25 points. She doesn't take up much of your markup. Plus, she also has Perplex for X-Men and leadership, right? So all of this really kind of factors into, oh gosh, she's so good. She's just so amazing.
And again, we're going off the idea that these sealed should should be X-Men. If there is any doubt, one of the things that you could do is just contact the venue and find out from them whether they know if it's going to be X-Men. If they say it's going to be another set, we did see that at the fall WKOs where people went constructed because they couldn't get boosters in. Or some of the WKOs started before Harley came out and they didn't have any Mighty Thor left. So it was like, oh, well, the only thing we have is Avengers Defenders War.
Yeah, I heard about 1 or 2 WKOs that run on Avengers Defenders War.
Yeah, so one of the good things to do is contact the venue if you can and ask them what boosters should be expected. Because they should know well in advance what boosters are going to be used. And then that, like, so you can still do all of these practices on any set. It just happens to be the most set is X-Men, so that's what we're going forward with. That's what we're focusing with. But you can do this, even like the unboxing video practice that I mentioned, that can be done with any set that's had an unboxing.
So packs are no longer for your collection. Getting ready for a WKO. They will eventually be part of your collection. But right now, they're tools. They're tools for sealed. How am I going to build a sealed? And the beauty, the other thing too, the beauty of just buying packs off the shelf and getting, looking at those 2 packs and going, I wonder how that is. You get more, you're on a time limit at a store, at a venue. You need to go. Getting the time ahead of time to look solidly at packs before that, great. If you feel like you have a problem with it, then maybe blind buy a couple packs and sit there with a stopwatch. Say, it depends on how, most stores usually do about half an hour for sealed builds. Take a half hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and build a team. I actually discovered how quick I am at sealed team building by that exercise at one point where it was like, oh my gosh, I can build a sealed team in like 8 minutes by opening a pack. And that was in Harley Quinn when I did that math. So that it turned out I was pretty good at that. But then my packs, in a lot of cases, were predetermined as to what I was going to play ahead of time. Yeah. When you pull a super rare in a chase, you play them.
Harley's like that, though.
Yeah. And I promised everybody, if I ever pulled Giganta, I would play her. And I would make sure I played her on a 6-person team. And then I won that WKO. So.
You won 2 WKOs under Harley, didn't you?
I did win 2 WKOs. Yeah. I won 2, top 8 at another. Didn't deserve the top 8, but that's okay. We got to go eat some food afterwards. So, all right, I think I'm done. We're done. We're done talking about this.
Yep. Yeah. So Nathaniel has a question. Oh. I want to build an all Iceman team for a WKO. Viable, yay or nay?
Let's define viable. Are you going to win? No.
Is your intention to win?
Yeah, if your intention is to win, I wouldn't advise it. I would advise against it. It would be cool. Unimind is still a threat. Let's not kid ourselves. Somebody's going to be bold enough to continue to use Unimind, and if he manages to duck leeches, he's fine. They're going to bring tools to deal with Darwin. Let's not kid ourselves either. Like, these teams are planning on saying, okay, they're bringing Darwin. I'm going to bring Suitor or Surtur, right? And then it's like, I pick a power. Oh, look, you took damage. Surtur, go get him. Perplex up damage. Go. Right? So, yeah. But at the same time, as I said in my other video from Metafix, I'm bringing stupid to the next modern competitive event I'm playing in. I'm bringing stupid. So who am I to tell you that it's not viable? I'm bringing pure stupidity. So yeah, I go for it, man. Do it. It's viable. You might beat somebody.
Like, we're not going to say you're going to win the whole thing, but why not?
But who am I to tell you? Again, I'm bringing dumb. I'm bringing stupid. It's so stupid. But again, I can't stress enough. Iceman is going to have his Shredder issues. He's going to have his Unimind issues. All Iceman is cute. You're going to get some laughs. But you almost beat me with double Thane, Nathaniel, so who knows, right? What do I know?
A good player can do a lot with very little.
Absolutely. The best can. The best can. All right. My advice lately, it went from like very good, very keen, very awesome advice to don't ask me for advice. I'm stupid.
Oh, I should mention that so part of that was Nathaniel also said that he's like, haha, Jason hasn't been working lately. He's been cheating on us with another game.
Oh, I've been working. I've been working. They gave me 2 monitors. I've been working.
He also says that that's his thought. He does stupid well, and that you played him, and he's proved that.
Yeah. But then again, he killed my Superman, and I managed to win it with Mr. Mix's Pitlick and Clarion. I shouldn't have. I should not have gotten 3rd place in Canadian Nationals with that team. But if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be me.
I still love that you did. That meta was insane.
You know, we answered this on the Metal Lab a little while ago. Somebody was like, what do you think of how diverse is this going to be the most diverse meta ever? It's like, no! Did you play the Lantern meta? Yeah, there was a Lantern on every team, but it's a different color, did a different thing, and every team was differently functional.
Yeah.
It was so like, you could literally almost play anything and get away with it.
I mean, I had 2 Lantern teams. The first one was a Sinestro Corps Lantern team with Brainiac Skullship, and I made top 16 at Canadian Nationals with it. And then the second one, I ended up coming in second for the side tournament at Canadian Nationals with a Star Sapphire battery team that had Titano as the main attacker.
I played a team with Shifting Focus Superman, Clarion Tinkle, and Mr. Mix's Pitlick. And with a Proteus on Superman, and I had an Indigo power battery on that one. My team the year before didn't even have a battery. We also had the Mandarin's power plant this time. Also,
the team, because I played 2 teams the year that I made top 16 at Canadian Nationals. My day 1 team was an Indigo battery with Johnny Quick and Mr. Freeze.
What was viable in that meta? We're way off topic.
Which is fine.
Iceman, Nito, we got way. Iceman versus the meta talking about lanterns. We're a little further than we usually get. Let's let Michael have the floor again.
Alrighty, guys. So I feel like talking a little bit more about the starter packs and things like that. And I want to get your thoughts on do you like the because sometimes even in my local place, like you'll say like if we do sealed, you can either do 2 boosters or a starter pack if you'd like. And I want to know, like, is the newest X-Men class starter set viable for either a sealed or just like for what's the play value out of that? Like, can I just pick it up and play with it?
I have a confession to make.
Mm-hmm.
We don't own that one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to win? Is the intention of this to win?
Honestly,
go ahead.
Yeah, I would say like the competitive level at my local Thursday night it's dropped significantly like that, so I can get away with more casual teams and still win in either sealed or in constructed weeks and things like that. So I don't have to worry about bringing as heavy meta teams as much anymore as I once did. So like just say, is it like more casual X-Men, this new X-Men starters kit, or is it will I just if I play this, will I expect to get beat up regardless of who I'm playing against?
Yeah, it's one of those things where they've really kind of changed the way that Fast Forces and starter set figures have kind of worked now. Is that they're very basic. I guess would be the word I want to use there. And that they are designed to make teams out of like fresh out of the pack on that, but they're really, really leaning towards the being learning tools to get into the game
so
rather
basic, I
than
can smell the Starbucks.
really playing the game. So if you want to get more, even at a casual level, if you want to get more of a like diverse experience out of it, I would say just go with 2 random boosters and see what you pull. And like that's not even by like the rare chance that you might get a higher rarity figure. That's just the commons and uncommons are going to give you a more variety, more diverse play experience than going through like super basic figures that you're going to find in the starter sets nowadays.
I'm pretty sure all those figures are fitted for Uggs. They're so basic. They're so basic. Oh, it was disgusting. So I just looked up the fast forces. They all have probability control, so long as it's for their own attacks, and so long as their fat attack didn't involve a 5. They also come with some other standard power to go with it. It is. I don't know what you're teaching anybody with those figures, to be brutally honest, because like probability control, but it's not quite probability control. So we're going to teach you how to use probability control incorrectly. I don't know if that you're getting a lot of learning value out of that, to be brutally honest. Now, that's not to say any fast forces is terrible. There's always fast forces that have a standout figure all over the place. Look at Trinity War. Atomica was everywhere. Mm-hmm. Look at the last X-Men one.
Fast Force of Jean Grey.
She's over the place. She's still haunting our dreams. Our nightmares. Oh gosh, she still makes me do a cold sweat.
I would say that there is a distinct difference between getting a Fast Forces and getting a starter set, as the starter sets are the ones that will come with maps and rules and tokens, and they will tend to be more on the basic side than a Fast Forces will be.
But also I've found that starter set figures are often more functional. Like you can get use out of them, especially like look at the Mighty Thor one. That Hulk, yeah. That Hulk is something. Plus you also get the Asgardian shield out of it too. So I feel like more effort gets put into the starter sets than they do for the Fast Forces.
Yeah.
So do pay attention to that distinction between the Fast Force versus a starter set. And that's where you see more design focus kind of happen to one over the other. I didn't have much to say on this topic.
I forgot that the X-Men one was a Fast Forces. And
this is one of those topics I don't have a whole lot to go on because I think I've beaten this topic into the ground. It's just I'm not finished with. Okay, I'm done. Oh.
And unfortunately, we did not pick up either the Harley Quinn or the Star Trek Fast Forces and starter set to kind of have that extra bit of
we
comparison.
Didn't pick up Star Trek.
We didn't. And that's an actual, because it's an actual starter set. So it's like $30.
Doesn't it have a map?
I think it has a map. And it has a rule book and a pack. Like, we really should have it. We just never got around to it.
That way we don't have to fight over the pack.
Yeah. You know what? It came out right before Christmas.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, Christmas. Oh, jeez.
Christmas with 3 children was not.
It's not easy. It is not easy. All right. Next. Do we have another question on the Discord? Or?
No.
No. Okay, cool. No. Mike gets the floor then.
Okay.
All right. So then, is that the reason why I kind of feel gypped though in a way with the X-Men First Class Fast Forces thing? Is that wouldn't it have been nice to get an ID card in that Fast Forces set? At least one extra one, because didn't we get that one Ant-Man or Hank Pym?
We got the Hank Pym
thing like that. Could we have gotten at least one more ID card in that set?
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Even then, looking at the ID cards, like I'm looking at some of the ID cards, and more specifically in the sense that we have 2 Shadowcat ID cards.
How did they miss Forge?
Yeah, like it felt like, I don't know if they're going to release more or if it was just like they really felt like they were like, I'm happy to have like a Brew ID card, but like that wouldn't have been my first thought. to have an X-Men ID card.
Well, that was the thing. We heard 25 by X-Men ID cards. Like, yeah, how could they miss Forge? They missed Forge.
Yeah. And we got 2 Shadowcat ones. Like, I understand there's a distinction because, like, the faculty cards give you the inspiration. The student cards are only 3 points. But you still have, like, okay, the student card can bring in either Kitty Pryde or Sprite. And the faculty card can bring in either Kitty Pryde or Shadowcat. And it's like...
Or Sprite. Sprite's one of the alternate names.
I thought Sprite wasn't on the faculty one.
Sprite's on the faculty one.
Then why is there a Sprite student on?
Sometimes you don't have those 2 points.
I'm even more angry about it.
Because nobody's using her inspiration. Nobody's using phasing as the inspiration. Nobody. Come on. Nobody's like, yes, I
wrote
wrote
why not just put Shadowcat on the Sprite one? Like, she didn't deserve 2. Like, I love Kitty Pryde. She didn't deserve 2 ID cards.
There's a vein showing through your hair. It's so cute. Anyway, the ID card in the with the Hank Pym, that was a beautiful bonus in a set where we're getting the introduction initially to ID cards. Like they showed up in Avengers Assemble. Avengers Assemble didn't have a quick start, but then we got them in the Age of Ultron related classic Avengers set one. And that was like the second coming, as it were, of the ID card, or the second or third, second coming of the ID card. So we had ID cards from Avengers Assemble. We have ID cards from the Age of Ultron. I don't know.
Also the Age of Ultron ones. We got the Hank Pym one in the starter set that was linked to the storyline OP that gave us the resource and gave us more ID cards. And then when we looked at the Justice League teleporter, we got them in World's Finest, but then the resource was sold separately with more ID cards. So in each instance of getting those ID cards outside of a set and not con exclusive, they seem to have a purpose. Whereas, not to say it wouldn't have been awesome to have an ID card in the X-Men Fast Forces. They probably would have sold out if it had an ID card in it. Depending on the character.
It would have definitely sold out. It would have definitely sold out if they had an ID. Again, depending on it. But then it's which one do you put? You can't put the Beast one in there because Beast is already your faculty one.
Yeah.
And all the figures in that starter set have an ID card in the set, right? Even Rusty and Skids have ID cards in it. Why are they in the set? Who asked for Rusty and Skids? Is it the same people asking for Killer Moth? Because you guys are ruining HeroClix.
And Kite Man. Who asked for Kite Man?
Oh, and Kite Man.
Hey, Kite Man's fine. Hell yeah. I have 2 specifically because he is great. Hell yeah. But as far as the whys, I don't know. I just don't have this is one of those few times. Sometimes I have the thought process that leads to the possibility as to the why. And in this case, I think figure choice was really the reason we didn't get that ID card. To be brutally honest, that's the only thing I can think of is because they chose the figures that they did, but they also put ID cards for each of the figures that they did in the game set. They just didn't want to shove an extra one in the Fast Force along with it because there isn't the necessity like there was with the teleporter, like there was with the Age of Ultron, both the in-game resource and the grand prize resource, all of that. You needed a ton of stacks of ID cards. You don't need stacks of ID cards anymore.
Yeah.
And the game is drifting away from as many as we used to have.
Also, to kind of go back to the point of having the figures in the Fast Forces already having ID cards in the set, when you look at the other starter set that had an ID card in it, like Hank Pym was in that set, and then every other figure was a participation prize, our ID card for playing in the Age of Ultron event. So, yeah.
No, there we go. Did that derail you?
No, that kind of actually disproved my point.
The rest of them were just not Wasp. Wasp was pulled, I think, in Age of Ultron. Yeah, she was pullable in Age of Ultron. So it was there. She's also in the set. That's another thing. We have an Ant-Man and Hank Pym. None of them came in sets. Hank Pym came in the starter set. The Ant-Man came as part of the Ant-Man special event. So when it comes down to it, because they didn't seem to want to put Hank Pym's ID card in anything, they had to put it in something.
They're like, we don't know where to fit this.
All right. Over-answered, re-answered, overdone, redone, incorrectly done, incorrectly justified, rejustified, undone. While Amber looks for another Discord question just in case.
Since we are on ID cards, do you think we may have new versions of golden cards? No.
Nope. No.
I feel like the X-Men ID cards was WizKids throwing us a bone. Because we didn't get them in the Uncanny X-Men set, I feel like that's when we should have gotten them.
I think they're out of gimmicks.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the... I'm not complaining, but I do have to point out a very transparent fact right now. WizKids is out of gimmicks. There is nothing else they can do right now. And then we're going to have to get some repetition to a certain degree. And the reason I say this is thusly. Fantastic Forces, way back in the day. Anybody remember it? I do. 3 figures per pack.
Fantastic set.
It was a great set, except for the fact that in a 4-figure per pack era, Amber, you want to top me up too? In a 4-figure per pack era, we got 3 figures per pack, but we got at least either 1 multi-base or 1 giant figure in each pack, which was great. That's amazing. A gimmick set. We got a little thing. We didn't have to increase the price, whatever, so on and so forth, right? They didn't have a gimmick for X-Men. Like, if we go through the era, after, like, Fantastic Force was probably the last gimmick we had for a little bit. Then Avengers Assemble, the gimmick was the cards. And then the gimmick for Monsters and Mutations, which was the next Marvel carded set, had the event dials. Prior to the event dials, we had the major events, the Starro events. Trying to gimmick their way through sets, give us something brand spanking new or some kind of incentive in which to continue our adventure through HeroClix and to continue to purchase and to justify each set. And so the reason I'm going on this rant is this. We got to Batman, and we got to the extreme. We got to the Super Booster. All right, the Super Booster. We're going to put vehicles in the game. Amazing. We got vehicles here. So cool. Oh, yeah. We go from vehicles in Batman to the Super Boosters with team bases in Teen Titans. Team base, whole teams on a single base. Gimmick, right? These are all gimmicks that they're adding to each set in order to incentivize us to try something new in the game. Let game design run a little bit wild, and also for us to go, ooh, that's neat, I'm going to try that. Now, the Super Booster has always been successful. Every set that's come with Super Boosters has been off the walls successful. Superman, Wonder Woman, successful. Mighty Thor, successful. What is it? Giant Size X-Men, also successful. Like every set that has come with the Super Boosters or some kind of giant thing has blown up exponentially. It's been pretty freaking amazing. So Mike's giving me a BRB. Gotcha, bud. But all these things, these major sets that have had these big gimmicks have been very successful. Avengers Assemble flew off the shelf because of the gimmick being the ID cards. Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. flew off the shelf because ID cards and Nick Fury. And, the vehicles weren't even an interest to people. They double gimmicked that set, but the ID cards were enough.
Wait, was
along
the
with
set
Nick
that
Fury.
had the Hulkbuster too?
And also, yeah, they triple gimmicked that set because they knew the value in that set was very low because of all the generics and more ice cubes, whatever.
Sorry.
So, massive amounts of gimmicks being thrown in all these sets makes the sets kind of appear great. We get to the Uncanny X-Men, which, in my opinion, was probably, and my thoughts on the numbers might be wrong. this is probably the worst performing X-Men set I've ever seen in my life, because I still see it on people's shelves. Distributors still have it. Giant Size X-Men didn't exist. Wolverine and the X-Men didn't exist. Both of those were Super Booster sets.
Mhm.
Like when I say didn't exist, I mean they're on the shelves. A minute and a half later, they were gone. Both of those sets, you couldn't find them. What else was there? And then we get to Uncanny X-Men. The gimmick in there was effects bases.
Yeah.
Right? So then we come back around. We're getting into the new stuff. Deadpool had the chases had the comic bases or the comic panels, but we've also had the shifting focus show up.
And it also had the ultra rare.
And ultra rare. I mean, ultimately the ultra rare is like a gimmick that right? When the gimmick appeals, the gimmick works, and we buy the gimmick. But they're out of gimmicks. It's where I'm going with this long tirade.
So we're starting to see repeating gimmicks.
We're starting to see repeating gimmicks. Also, this X-Men set, the Xavier School, this set, without the ID cards, you'd be able to find at the shelves. It would be everywhere because they would not be able to move this set without these ID cards being in there. Now, a lot of the ID cards are good. ID cards, you pull them in packs. I also noticed there's a distinction. If super rares are pulled and you see your buddies pull super rares and chases, you look at them and go, there's ID cards left. It's like, you pull the chase, you pull the chase, you pull the super rare. I'm buying the rest of the packs because there's ID cards in that stuff. Right? This set's going to fly off the shelf. And then we're going to get to Infinity. And I had this conversation with Amber during our morning
shower.
I had a shower thought, and then I shared my shower thought with my wife. We're married. That Infinity is going to be a very tough sell. Don't get me wrong. The gimmick is cool. We're getting rid of the Super Booster and making every pack the Super Booster. Cool. Neato. But there's a lot of players already on the cuff of not being able to afford this game because this game, let's not kid ourselves, started expensive. $7.99 per pack for 4 figures. For a collectible game where you're getting random stuff, that's a lot of money.
Especially when it started out, it was geared towards like teenagers.
Yeah. And then we're at almost double the price now 15 years later. Like $15 for a pack of 5 figures with cards. We're about to go from that to like, $15
We're talking Canadian. Sorry.
Apologize. You in the US, I believe you're paying $12 to $13 a pack. You're about to spend what we spend on packs. We're about to spend $20, $25 a pack. Mm-hmm. We're getting a Super Booster size figure in each pack, but then that's every single pack. Like this is the thing, the idea, taken to the unrealistic conclusion, and we're gonna hit. This is the wall. That if we can't get over this wall, the Infinity War wall, this could be it. And I don't want to be a naysayer. I like the idea of Infinity. I am buying a case of Infinity. I have been buying a case of every set since the past couple of years. Like we've downgraded because 2 cases was just unnecessary.
We ended up with a lot of extra commons on that.
Still end up with a lot of extra commons and uncommons. That's really a thing. We are only getting a single case of this next of Avengers Infinity War plus whatever WizKids should feel free to grace us with. We are excited for the set. I'm excited for the outlook on it. But I am hearing across the board a lot of people aren't too happy with the price increase. We have to kind of accept because we're getting a lot more plastic in it. I feel like I've talked about this every month since the announcement.
There's actually a very fantastic picture that is out. There's 2. One is hilarious. There is on the WizKids website, they'll put up like stock photos and stuff or product shots for their upcoming sets. And one of them, to try and explain how big these boosters are gonna be, there is a stock photo of a woman holding the brick. Now it comes off very unnatural and very strange because we've never seen product shots of someone actually holding the product as an advertisement. The other photo you can actually find on figures.com in their New York Toy Fair gallery for WizKids, where Scott Rubin, who does the unboxings for figures.com and also runs an Indomitable on Hyper RPG. He's holding one of the bricks, and this brick is huge, guys. Like, because they are mini, like they're just shorter super boosters. It's a brick of 10 super boosters. Like, a super booster used to take the slot of like 2 boosters. Actually, it would have been the spot of 4 boosters.
It takes 2 boosters from the brick.
Yeah,
but it
is
as
the size of 4 boosters. Now times that by 10, and you're getting this huge brick. And I think that's part of the disconnect between, oh my gosh, all the product is going up by $3, but think of all of that excess packaging and space that $3 is now paying for.
Yeah, it's and the ultimate natural conclusion we have to come from this is they're running out of gimmicks. But we've also, so much of the player base has chased away the best gimmicks. Everybody who's complained about resources, you're about to see a stale meta again. For you who complain about competitive play and don't go to competitive play, you're about to see a stale meta, because when figures define the meta, figures become the dominant, and the map just looks boring. And I'm sorry to say, you did it to yourself in that matter. Like, if you go back to the Lantern days, teams were different. I mean, granted, Lanterns were similar, and Lanterns had a certain effect on the game that was very similar, but ultimately what was on the board, what was being used, how the game was being played was different in each game. Those of you who cried about resources, you're about to find out exactly how boring this game really is. And I like, the more we chase away, the less they're going to give us. And the more they're going to have to try to come up with new ideas, or the more they're going to have to repeat ideas that not as many people complain about. Like, the people who do, there's some people who complain about ID cards. You lost a game to one. Sorry to hear about it. You got to deal with that, right? They're trying to maximize how much of the collection we use, because we have a ton of figures, but we're using 5 in competitive play, right? If I can use 11 because I have 5 ID cards on my team, cool. Awesome. I have 6 figures on the board. That's what I'm assuming, right? Do understand the gimmicks happen to incentivize. In a lack of gimmicks, if you don't want these gimmicks in the packs, you're going to see what the game, just how uninteresting the game actually is, to be brutally honest. And I think the game is more interesting with more wacky stuff going on, to be on my side. I'm being too negative. I gotta stop.
Now, I do say I was one of the people that was like, oh my God, resources, when are these going to go away? And I was happy when they went away. And they are essentially away right now. Like, even though we still have the Supreme Intelligence and the Teleporter as our resources in the game, they just don't function the way that the initial resources work. No. Now, I will admit I was cynical and jaded, because when I had left the game and then came back, when I came back, the Infinity Gauntlet had just come out, and our table games were dominated by one of our players playing nothing but a big beat stick and Infinity Gauntlet and winning every single game. And it was just like, that's just not fun. And then the utility belt came out, and it was like, okay, there's certain things that are broken about this. And then the Book of the Skull.
We could beat the Infinity Gauntlet with it.
Yeah. It's like, then the Book of the Skull came out, and everything went wonky. And it was like, what?
Defenses don't matter.
What are you doing to the game? These need to go away. And then we kind of evened out with the Phoenix Force and, to an extent, the batteries. And it was just like, okay, I'm happy with this. This here seems to be the balance of where resources need to be.
So in our curve, we kind of went,
And then we were gone. And then it's like, okay, well, we're not making resources anymore, because I guess nobody wants them. It's like, no, we just didn't want the broken ones. Give us the ones that work.
Yeah. And this conversation comes up every time. It's like, I love the limited format. Do you? There are 3 teams in limited format. Have fun with that. It is what it is. And we're gonna find out what goes on. Now, ultimately, when having the casual player define the game for the competitive player, it's obnoxious. If you're not gonna show up for these events, don't complain about the events. Show up for the events. You know, be
Let
there.
your voice be there.
Then I want to hear your voice. If you're just going to be on the sidelines complaining because you lost a game to somebody who's trying hard one week. So, you know, anyway, I have this rant all the time. I got to cool it. So
I will lighten this up with Nathaniel saying that the next gimmick for Hero Clix should be edible Clix. Move over Tide Pods.
Your Clix are already edible. They don't taste particularly good. They're not good for you. They're not. But based on what he just said, they're already edible.
So that actually, I'm going to segue.
Which figure was the one I bit off the base the other day?
One of the Star Trek guys, Dr. McCoy, I believe.
Yep, it was my Dr. McCoy.
We're not joking. He literally bit it off the base because he was so angry with it. 10
failed support roles. He's a great figure, just not with my dice. He wasn't.
That game did not go well for him.
My friend Aiden was like, "Here, I'll take that." No, you don't get this either. I had a bad day.
So I wanted to totally off topic, but not really, segue that into when I was younger. There was a day we were playing, I don't know if you guys remember the game Headbands. Basically, you had a card of a thing that was on your head, and you had to ask 20 questions or ask questions to figure out what that card was. And playing this with my sassy, sarcastic friends and my autistic brother, the first question would be, can you eat it? And my brother's answer was always, well, if you're really hungry. It's like, stop, no.
All right, let's let Michael ask a question. I got started on a rant. We need to move on because I need positivity in my life.
Alrighty, guys. So I'm looking forward to the next week's constructed game that we're actually going to do some, I guess, capture the flag. Have you seen the new Silvermane's head?
Yes.
So my question is, what do you think about it? And I guess it's like a two-parter question. What do you think about the new pieces there with Silvermane? And should I, when in constructed only, should I pass on the, I guess, leadership? Like when I'm constructing a team, should I not emphasize leadership enough? Instead, use that. Since I got the head and everything, is that now not such a priority now with other teams? Like I don't have to put a Captain America or an Iron Man or somebody else with leadership on it since I already have Silvermane's head.
You're sorry. You're starting with Silvermane's head? Is that the idea?
Yes. I'm starting with Silvermane's head.
Okay.
And when I'm building a constructed team, do I not now have to worry about any other pieces that feature a more leadership role, like all those X-Men headmaster things with all the leadership and stuff like that? So.
It sounds like in the case of this scenario, just you don't have to worry about leadership as much. And ultimately, I mean, if they get the guy who's got Silvermane's head, I don't know how this scenario works as a whole. But if the idea is I get your Silvermane's head off of you somehow, I mean that's just the same as losing leadership on any of those characters anyway. So if you don't have to emphasize it anymore, even better, you're going to start with it to some degree, so you can actually build around the fact that you already have leadership. So now let's keep that in mind and build my team in that manner, and try to capitalize on that, which is why a theme team in this case would be actually very beneficial, knowing that your leadership guy is now going to have at least a keyword with everybody so he can pop a token off if he happens to get that successful 5 or 6. Because it's not going to matter on point value. It could be a 25-point character. You could have like an Avengers team with a 25-point. What's a 25-point Avenger? 25-point Avenger. I don't know. It's not the point. The point is they're going to have a keyword with one of your other figures. And that 25-point character that happens to have leadership right now is going to be fantastic. And able to stop chuckling at her. Okay? What do you have to add there, Amber?
I think now, like especially with the recent changes with the rules on leadership, was that now that you have the leadership, you're guaranteed that extra action. You don't really have to worry too much about having more leadership characters, because in the past you would get an extra action for every successful leadership, but you had to succeed. So it was like, all right, I'm going to try and put as many characters with leadership on there to make sure that something happens with this. Now you can be, as you said, safe in the fact that you know you're going to start with leadership and you're guaranteed to have that extra action regardless, because that's no longer based on the role. And as Jason said, where now you can focus on making a theme team with whatever you'd actually like to make it with, because you can work off the keywords. So especially with Silvermane's equipment giving anybody leadership, that just further adds to the fact that you can build whatever team you want and not, as you said, not have to worry about needing someone to be your leader. You can make anybody your leader. You can have an ex-student be your leader for an X-Men team.
That's disgusting and awesome all at the same time. That ex-student would be my
they
hero.
only have like 2-3 clicks of health, so like they're probably gonna go away, but still.
You could have a triple. No, wait. That's equipment. They're tiny.
Yeah.
You ruined my dreams. It's all your fault. Darned rules. Is there another one from the Discord?
Nathaniel says thug leader. Yes.
That's all I gotta say. He's got some thug and love.
Got the thug and love.
Is it booty butt cheeks or move them butt cheeks? All right, let's ask another question, please. Don't let us ramble too long. We need control.
Alrighty, so let's discuss a little bit more strategy here. Let's say I want to build a team starting with the new Giganta. Is she like tent-poleable, or like I'm kind of geared toward, okay, let's have Giganta and do like a tent pole of people around her, and like she can like transport them wherever she needs to go, because she's the giant size, and she can carry them. So would you recommend something like that, or should I look at something else, like maybe bringing in a bigger like a bigger colossal into it instead, to carry people around the map?
You want to take the lead on this one, and then I will follow up and correct you on how wrong you are?
I think that Giganta can be used as a tent pole. Do be aware of the fact that she will die. She will die. Regardless of what you are doing, she will die. Also, using a colossal or a giant as your main source of moving people, I don't know, it doesn't work as well as it used to. But she doesn't fly anyway, so I mean, the fact that they took away the fact that you can carry 2 characters now, or that you used to be able to you can take over now. Just stop me from embarrassing myself.
Giganta as your tent pole is a bluff. Okay? Now, I'm not saying don't use her. Use her. But you need somebody else to clean up the mess she's going to make of your opponent's team. This was the strategy I used with Sealed. In Sealed with her. She goes forward. I don't care anymore. She gets an attack in, great. She gets another attack in, even better. She gets 2 more attacks in. What are you doing that's missing her, guys? You also got to make sure you have at least 6 figures on your team. I would suggest triples to make sure you always have 6 figures on your team. So you can maintain that +1 bonus. She needs that. I'm not kidding. Her dial doesn't. You just the amount of life that she has doesn't matter to you. You just kill her, but make sure you're doing damage when you do kill people with her. You colossal stamina and flurry, whatever. Make yourself colossal, take a damage, make an attack. When you're done with that attack, you colossal stamina, flurry. You just took 2 damage, but hopefully you dealt 12. Right? Whatever mess she makes needs to get cleaned up. A couple good ideas would include Killer Shark if you're maintaining a theme team. But you also need to make sure you have water somehow with that team. So you will have to work around that somehow. Or just a reasonable character who can just kind of go in and poke. Hypersonicers are a great cleanup crew for her. Running shot multi-targeters are also great cleanup crew for after Giganta has Giganted. And you need her to Giganta. You do need her to do what she does. You do need to forward move with her aggressively, but you also need to be ready to push again, push furthermore. Have you pushed yet? Because if you're not pushing, push again. Her dial doesn't matter as long as she's making their dial shorter. And then just, again, like Amber said, Amber was on the right track. She was there. She just missed the fact that she's not your 10 pull. She's a bluff 10 pull. You do a lot of forward damage with her. You clean up with something else. And like I said, King Shark is probably one of her best friends for sharing that Secret 6 trait, for sharing a Secret 6 keyword, and just being able to move if you've got water. Beyond that, if you're looking for more consistency, not necessarily King Shark, you can force the King Shark to work. Have you met Aquaman? King Aquaman specifically. He's able to make water. So, boom, done. Issue solved. Any
Yeah, I was gonna suggest like the Chase Hawkeye, like that. Is that like a cleanup? Yeah.
You've done a bunch of damage. Anything that's left, that's dead. That's dead. That's dead. Is there anything still alive? That's dead. I couldn't even find another more clear. And, you know, as well, because of the new rules and the way that telekinesis works, make sure you got TK to throw that Giganta up. You can spend 25 points on TK easily nowadays. It's not hard. TK is a very easy power to get your hands on. With Mercury, I think, is 25 points. There's another 25-point TK. I don't know. Was it in the X-Men set? Amber, you gonna leave me hanging?
I think all the TKs in X-Men are 30 or 40 points.
Yeah, like the Cuckoos are 50 points though. Either Melanie or Mindy. Some of the Cuckoos have TK.
Well, Hellions got it for 40. Yeah, they're all around the 30.
Somebody's probably already answered this on the on the Discord. Telekinesis, power of telekinesis, modern age. Point cost is equal to 25. I know there's more than one nowadays.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of finding them.
Lieutenant Kyle, that's who it was.
Lieutenant Kyle.
Because Lieutenant Kyle has it for 3 solid clicks of life.
Yeah.
Out of his 4. You also have the X student.
Oh, the X student gets it. Okay.
Yep. But he only has it for 2 clicks. And then there's Mercury.
But
so again, 220. Yeah. There's 3 25-point sources of TK. Can't believe I almost forgot about Lieutenant Kyle.
Lieutenant Kyle.
Lieutenant Kyle. I get him and the other guy mixed up all the time because the other guy's the one that comes back to life. He's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm not dead, actually. Funny you should mention. Yeah. So start with that base and kind of move from there and just come up with. If you have the Hawkeye, you're flipping golden and you're also rich. You just don't realize it. Actually, sorry, you're not rich. You're 100 in air. You got a couple bucks in your pocket, but not for long. All right. So, Giganta. Temple isn't a temple. Get me off the screen. When I start to trail like that, you need to get me off the screen and let Michael take over. He's clearly more professional than we are.
Alrighty, I got most of my questions here. They're all answered and everything like that. Hopefully, my joining in a lot earlier than I used to have been in the past months, like that, was bigger help. So you don't have to go as long and stretch for time. I didn't think that far ahead where I had to like close down my register and everything like that. But in order for the shift change, but we're still working out the kinks with this. All right, so last question here I got for you is, we miss you on the Meta Lab. So what do you think the Meta Lab is doing now with the new hosts? And hopefully everybody's still watching every Monday night with the Meta Lab. What do you think how it's going?
I don't know. You're watching it more than I am. The reason I'm not on it is because I'm working. We're very busy right now. And as a result, I haven't actually been able to watch it. Amber has been keeping me up to date on a certain number of comment issues that we've come across. She even outed poor Jay.
It's been a persistent comment.
All that aside, I'm sure the guys are doing a fantastic job. Jay is asking me the right questions at the right times. They're going to start getting compensated a little better now. Specifically, they're going to get compensated now.
We're still getting just as many interactions and questions asked on Mondays when the hey, we're doing Meta Lab post goes out. And from what we tell, we're still getting the same amount of viewers. I mean, from our perspective, as far as we can tell, everything's going really well. Like, we're not having anyone flat out being like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, get Jason back.
Because you can't have me back. I am busy.
and despite our Discord's best effort, hashtag AmberLab is not happening.
No. That hashtag is ended. They don't use it anymore. Oh, wait, here it comes. What did I say? What?
Oh, there it is. Hashtag AmberLab.
I told you, like, within seconds, it was going to happen. Amber, you invoked the internet. What have we discussed about invoking the internet? If you invoke the internet will happen. The internet will happen. All that aside, if anybody has a problem, by all means, let me know, and I won't deal with it. Or I'll talk to Jay politely.
Well, thanks for letting us know.
Or as politely as I can talk to Jay. And whatnot. I do want to assure everybody that possibly November, maybe a little later. It depends on how things go. I'm hoping to be back full-time on the lab. Work is only going to get worse from here. It hasn't been super bad. There's been a couple weeks where I looked at it and said, I could probably join, but I don't want to do what I did when Mike was taking over for me when I first started this job, where I just kind of like took what came in and just kind of took all the – it's even in the chat – took all the momentum away from the current host. Just want to let Jay get into his smooth flow. I'll destroy him in November. It's okay. But by then, I'll probably have forgotten how to play HeroClix. Who knows?
To be brutally honest, there's other things in that head.
There's so many things in this head right now. There is work. There is Magic the Gathering. There is HeroClix. There is board games. There is whatever is going on in the Discord over there.
Nathan says that he put up the hashtag before I even said it.
That's fair enough.
So
well, sorry, he's on a delay.
Mm.
You got to remember that. So there's a couple seconds delay. What people hear out there is not quite what we're getting in here. But I do enjoy the timing and how that happened. And my understanding, like we got a consummate, fantastic player in PJ Bolin. Mike White, I've known the guy for years, and he's a great player with a limitation, which is great to have on the show, just to watch his stubbornness progress. Hey, man, if anybody's stubborn, and if we need a replacement for a stubborn guy, Mike White might as well replace me. I'm stubborn in a different way. I find stupid strategies, and like I go to tournaments with stupid. So
and we actually there has been a consistent. Why am I trying to talk?
You're trying to use words, Amber.
Guest hosts have been showing up. There's been a consistent rotation of guests. We've had the steady
I gotta give Jay the backup
Jay.
emails.
Yeah, we've had Steady Jay and PJ and JPJ Mike, and we've had guest hosts. We've had Daniel Powell from Clix. We had one of our both of our backups in Pedro and Michael Hilton, and most recently we had a local player, Devin, join in. So you're gonna see a little bit more variety without having Jason there.
One of my favorite things is that Jay was polite enough to ask me, "Hey, I'm gonna have Daniel Powell on the show. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Of course that's okay, because Daniel Powell's a Rock World champion. He's a quality player." He didn't ask me about Devin. I'm sure Devin did a fantastic job. I just find it weird that Jay didn't run it by me first, and he's just like, or maybe he didn't. I just ignored it. I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever." I don't even remember the conversation. I don't remember a lot of things right now, except for my work. So, honestly, I've had plans. I'm going to an Impact wrestling taping on Sunday. I've had this plan for months, and I have forgotten I've had this plan 7 days in the past 7 days.
Which is actually kind of hilarious, because he had said at one point that he was doing this wrestling thing on March 4th. And for whatever reason, that
3 weeks ago,
that date burned in my head. And I'm like, we have plans for March 4th. He's like, no, we don't. And I'm like, no, we have. I'm like, isn't it a WKO? He's like, no. WKO is the next week.
The WKO is on March 4th.
And I'm like, no, dude, there's something happening on March 4th that we need to pay attention to. Like, I was so adamant about this. And he was like, I felt crazy because I'm like, but no, I remember March 4th. And then he was like, oh yeah, I got invited to go out to wrestling March 4th. I was like, that's it. That's the date. That is the thing.
What is March 4th? What's going on with March 4th? It was written on the walls. She wrote it on my head one morning. I'm so glad it wasn't in Sharpie. It was a dry erase marker. I was able to just rub it off.
We have a secret room under the stairs. It's just plastered. What is March 4th?
March 4th. Here, you guys all want to see it? It's right here, right under the stairs. It's. Oh, we're off the rails, by the way, because Mike said that was his last question. So this is the off the rails question. But as far as the quality of show, I mean, people have to tell me if they have a problem. They know where to get me. They know where I exist. You know where I live. We have a comment section for this kind of stuff. I hope the guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm not worried because Jay's been on the show long enough and on the show enough to know how to run the thing. I
feel competent in...
Competent? You feel competent? I hope you feel competent because you got a job to do. But I think the word you're looking for is confident.
We feel confident that the show is doing well without us.
View counts are the same. Response rate is the same. Everybody's doing a fantastic job. And one of the beauties as well of me being able to do the filmed content still is it takes minutes to actually do the filming on those episodes. We do single takes, which is, I can't believe we've still managed to do single takes on this show, man. Okay, sorry. You get a single take. We don't necessarily always do single takes.
I edit. So if you ever see a hard cut,
oops,
something went really wrong.
God damn it. But
like me trying to speak English.
This is why Amber doesn't do live. Anyway, so I'm able to get out metafixes in bursts. That's why I don't change my shirt between them.
Like a month of metafix, he'll be wearing the same shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, before that, we used to actually wear our logoed Married with Clix shirt, and then we started getting really cool, like, nerdy shirts, and we started just showing those off instead.
I mean, to be brutally honest, the shirts have seen better days.
They got worn well.
The white ones?
Oh my god, the white
pits
ones
are not white anymore.
The white ones need to get thrown out. They're just, why did I think white was a good idea, guys?
Fire. The black one seems fine, but it smells. Mine smells bad. We also haven't done much with the new logos, so
yeah.
Which was one of those lasting things Mike Payne left us with. And
yes.
He was
It was pretty.
We do have
pretty-
shirts with the new logos on them. We just haven't worn them. Yeah, we did get them printed. But we barely wore them.
When did we? I don't know.
See?
Remember when we used to do a good job on this channel and care about it and have time to?
I also gave up on wearing the tank top because it became distracting.
Obviously, you've seen a couple comments in some of those videos. People are scum. I warned you about the internet. I warned you about the internet. They're supposed to hate me. You know, that was one thing that one of our fans, was also a Patreon, came up to me one time at a tournament. He's like, you know, I've watched other channels who play games, and one thing about our games was our heel-face dynamic. Like, we had a pro wrestling thing going on because I have been beating you for so long. People actually cheer you over me.
Yeah.
And I expected people to be swearing and being mean to me, and it happened a couple games. But for the most part, it was just like, we're not really getting that, but you know, we don't have time to play anymore.
Yeah.
So
even our Super Lex videos has been like, okay, I need a day where like I'm not completely worn out by the twins, and that everybody goes to bed on time, and that I can get a game together.
I remember at one point in the Metal Lab, I had discussed on the air the idea of an energy drink sponsorship. This is why we need that energy drink sponsorship. We're exhausted. We're just beaten. But we're trying to get out comment to you guys. So I want to thank the guys who are on the Metal Lab. And I'm going to be thanking them when the Patreon money comes in. In our own little way. It's not going to be much, but it's going to be enough to say thank you.
Thank you.
It's still a thank you for them to keep
Thank
going
you,
on the
love
show.
you. Thank you.
And we're just going to continue as best we can. Sail the ship, and then when life becomes slightly less busy for a little bit, I will get back into some more cool stuff, get some more show going, and so on and so forth. So
apparently I put the wrong title card in front of Metafix yesterday. I can fix that. It hasn't gone live yet. I can fix that.
it's just the patrons have it. Patrons apparently are doing their job better than us. They pay us, Amber. Just want you to know that right now. All right. Do you have any other questions there, Mike? Or are we talking about our sinking ship is enough for you?
Yeah, just real quick, if I have a few more minutes, it's funny that the other patron guy that mentioned it, he had wanted to build an all Iceman team. I have an all winter team, and this is the team that I played last night. It was Elijah Snow at 70 points, the Iceman at 60, a Frost Giant at 20, the Mr. Freeze at 90 points, and a Captain Cold at 60. There you go. 300 points of a Team Frozen or Team Let It Snow, or I still have yet to I forgot the name, but like there. But
when it comes to the name, I think you can let it go.
let it go.
Frozen reference.
There you go. So yeah. But yeah, that was it wasn't the best of teams, but I really liked playing that team. That was a really cool team.
Sounds like the games were pretty chill. There's no way you're getting away from this. Slippery slope, what do I say?
Look, she's all frozen up. Or no, wait, no.
She's got an icy glare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these jokes are just snowballing. Yes! Yes! Yes, I broke her! All right, on that note and that pun snowball of hell, that was an icy snowball in hell, to say the least. Or a snowball's chance in hell of me getting out and getting any tonight. I want to say thank you to our patrons, especially you, Mike, the Alpha, and so far the Omega. I want to thank all of our patrons for watching us. Everybody who's been watching us live, thank you very much. We'll be doing this again next month.
say, and we're going to say it now, and then we're going to put it on the Patreon. It's going to be April 6th will be the next Patron Hangout. But the show must go on. So we will continue to put out the content as best we can. And hopefully Amber won't murder me for that string of puns. If you want to become a Patreon, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclix. Any valuation gets you in on this show as well as on our Discord, which is where Nathaniel has been posting all of his questions from. He's not poofed. He's not showing up on Facebook. He's not showing up in the chat. You're not going to get anything on the YouTube chat unless you're super chatting. So check us out, patreon.com/marriedwithclix. So $1 gets you all the cool stuff, all the communication stuff, talk to us, etc. $5 a month gets you early access to our filmed videos, which will include the videos that myself and Amber are making. Not necessarily, you're not going to get the Metal Lab early, but that's live. Deal with it. That's how live works. $10 a month will get you access to our action tokens. We've just put in the order for the January-February ones, so they should be coming in the mail, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks. And we'll get those out to our patrons at that level as well. And yeah, that's it. Actually, we used to have higher ones. So check us out there. Our goal right now is we're trying to get to $200 a month, and we're going to form the HeroClix version of the Pauper League, as it were. We'll try to support a form of a tournament where stores will hold the tournaments. We will keep track of the tournaments, and then based on store performances, etc., like that, we'll pick a Pauper Grand Final or a Pauper Grand Tournament in which we will help prizing as well. Maybe either financially help the stores in some way, shape, or form, or something else in some way. We haven't figured out that math. The idea, of course, is that making a format that is just based on common figures and letting players just have some fun in general. See where that leads. Anyway, so with that said, guys, have a wonderful night. Thanks again to our patrons who open their wallets to us and help us out a lot. Amber is going to help us by hitting that stop broadcast button sooner rather than later, so I can ramble my way out.